All right, let's be honest.
Okay.
Loving your enemies,
Yeah.
not exactly at the top of anyone's to-do list, really.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough one.
It's like someone wrongs you, and your first instinct is definitely not to send them flowers, you know?
Totally.
But that's what we're diving into today, folks.
Oh, yeah.
This whole idea of loving your enemies.
All right.
And we're getting into it with this Kingdom SoulFuel podcast episode, which really digs deep.
Okay, cool.
Like, how can we even begin to understand this? And
Yeah.
even more, how can we actually apply it to our lives?
I mean, that's the big question, right?
It is, because they talk about transformation in this episode.
Right.
So I'm curious to see where this goes.
Yeah, for sure.
So the verse that really gets this whole thing going is from Matthew chapter 5, verse 44.
Okay.
Love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you.
You know, it's funny. It's like,
It sounds so simple
it does.
when you just say it like that.
It's so simple and yet so hard.
But it's not
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah, you just read that and you're like, oh, okay, I'll just love my enemy.
Easy peasy.
Yeah, no problem. But it's like, wait, what does that actually even look like?
Exactly. And that's what I want to ask you. Like, break this down for us, because what does it actually mean to love someone who's, actively trying to hurt you? Is it like this feeling we're supposed to have all of a sudden? Because that just doesn't compute.
Right. And I think that's where we get tripped up, because we think of love as this emotion, right? This feeling of warmth and fuzziness.
Yeah.
But the Bible actually talks about different types of love.
Oh, okay.
And the one that's relevant here, the one Jesus is talking about, is agape love. Agape love. And it's not about feelings, it's about choice. It's about choosing to act for the good of another person, regardless of how you feel about them, regardless of what they've done.
So even if they've been absolutely terrible.
Even then.
Wow.
And that's actually the kind of love God has for us.
Oh, I see.
It's unconditional, it's selfless, and that's what Jesus is calling us to extend that same kind of love, even to our enemies.
So, okay, I get that in theory.
Right.
But how on earth do we actually do that? Like, how do I put this into practice? Because let's be real, when someone hurts me, my gut reaction is not exactly, oh, let me shower them with love.
Absolutely, it's not natural, right? Our natural inclination is to fight back, to protect ourselves.
Yeah, or at least hope they get what's coming to them.
Right, exactly. We want justice. We want revenge.
Certainly.
But Jesus is calling us to something higher, something harder.
So where do we even begin?
Well, I think a great starting point is prayer.
Prayer.
Yeah, and I know it sounds kind of cliche, like a Sunday school answer.
Yeah, a little bit.
But hear me out. Praying for those who hurt you doesn't mean you're condoning their actions or saying what they did was okay.
Okay.
It's about inviting God into the situation, asking for his perspective, and honestly, it's about opening yourself up to the possibility of change, both in them and in you.
So it's not like we're praying for their bad deeds to magically disappear or something.
No, it's not about ignoring reality. It's about shifting our internal response to that reality.
Interesting.
We hold on to so much anger and bitterness when someone wrongs us.
Oh, yeah.
And that stuff eats us alive. It poisons us from the inside out.
That's true. It really can.
And prayer can be a way to release that, to let go of the need for revenge, to choose forgiveness, even when it feels impossible.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but that sounds awfully spiritual.
Sure.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around the practical side of this.
Right.
Like, honestly, if someone betrays me, spreads rumors, whatever it is, how can I actually pray for them and mean it?
Well, think about it this way.
Okay.
It's not about pretending you don't feel hurt or angry.
Okay.
Those feelings are real, and it's okay to acknowledge them.
Right.
But it's about choosing not to let those feelings control you. It's about saying, okay, this person hurt me, but I refuse to let their actions define me. I refuse to let them have that power over me.
So it's about taking back our power.
Exactly, and that's where prayer comes in. It's a way to tap into a power greater than ourselves, to find the strength to forgive, to love, even when it hurts.
Okay, I can see that. But what about when the person just keeps hurting you? Like they don't stop. Doesn't praying for them almost enable them to keep doing it?
That's a really important point to bring up, and this is where boundaries come in. Loving your enemy doesn't mean being a doormat.
Okay.
It doesn't mean allowing yourself to be continually mistreated.
Gotcha.
Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself and for the other person is to set healthy boundaries.
That makes sense.
That might mean distancing yourself from the relationship or limiting contact.
Right.
But even then, you can still pray for them.
So it's not about condoning their behavior. It's about choosing a different way to respond to it.
Exactly.
So it's not about changing them.
Right.
It's about changing how we react to them.
It's a shift in perspective.
That is a huge shift in perspective.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, okay.
And think about the ripple effect of that, you know?
Oh, yeah. Tell me more about that.
Like, we've all seen how one act of kindness can inspire another.
Right. It's like a chain reaction.
Exactly. And the same can be true for loving an enemy. It might feel like a small personal thing, but it has the potential to create a wave of positive change.
And that's something they talked about in the Kingdom SoulFuel podcast, right?
Right.
This whole idea of reflecting God's love.
Yes. And, you know, when we choose to love our enemies, even in the smallest ways, we're reflecting that unconditional, selfless love that God has for us.
It's like we're mirroring that love back into the world.
Exactly. And that can have a profound impact on not just ourselves, but on those around us.
That's pretty amazing.
It is. And, you know, it's not about being perfect at it. It's about trying.
So taking those baby steps.
Right. Taking those small steps towards love, towards forgiveness.
Wow. That's a powerful thought.
And you know what? It's a challenge, too.
It is, for sure.
So what if right now, each of us listening thinks of one person who's hurt us?
Okay.
Someone we might consider an enemy.
Gotcha.
And instead of dwelling on the anger and the hurt,
Yeah.
we just try, even in a small way, to shift our response.
To shift it towards love.
Towards love, yeah. Even if it's just a tiny bit.
Exactly, because what if loving our enemies isn't just about transforming our own hearts?
What if it's about...
What if it's about transforming the world?
Oh, wow.
It might sound radical, it might sound impossible.
It does.
But maybe, just maybe, that's the kind of love Jesus was talking about.
Something to think about, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow, that's deep.
It is.
And it gives us all something to really chew on.
It does.
So, folks, there you have it.
There it is.
Loving your enemies. A challenge, a mystery, and maybe, just maybe, the key to changing the world.
Absolutely.